morning Year 6, Miss Lister here. I'm here today to continue our writing, and our objective, just like yesterday, is to write a non-chronological report with a focus on varied sentence structures. And as I'm sure you will all remember, we are doing it about the Day of the Dead Festival in Mexico. So today we will be continuing with our next subheading, and let's get on to our work. So just having a look at these sentences, we're going to have a quick grammar starter. And I just want you to decide which of these is most suited to a non-fiction text, just like ours that we're writing this week in our non-chronological report. So have a little look. We've got 1. The overcrowded festival was marvellous. Families become reunited with their departed ancestors. So there's some good language in there, departed and ancestors, and the festival is quite overcrowded. However, it's saying it was marvellous is not correct because it's always ongoing. It's an annual event which takes place every year. Therefore, it's not was, okay, it is that. So that one's no good for our writing. The second one, since the festival is incredibly joyful, people often dress up in psychedelic colours. Again, some really good language in there, and it starts with the conjunction since. It could work. Perhaps not the best one, but it could work, and there might be some language in there you would like to magpie. The third one, animated, fun, excited, the festival gathered many Mexicans. That one's not quite right. It doesn't work in this kind of sentence structure, so we would cross that one out. And the final one, unique festival that is called Day of the Dead, is very overcrowded. Families enjoy celebrating their past loved ones. So we've tried a DD sentence there, good description and some detail. It's got the nice language of unique because it is very unique. There's not really a festival like it anywhere else. And then it's got a relative clause in it that is called the Day of the Dead. That could work. So there's elements of each sentence that can work. However, probably the best one for us to use might be the last one in there, or the second one. Now, attached to this PowerPoint is a success criteria sheet for you. We need to be thinking about what we're including in our writing, and these are the things that we will be looking for when we're marking. So there's 3 levels. You can see on the sheet I've put a copy of it just there for you to look at. There's level 1, level 2 and level 3. So when you come to writing, please can you make sure you choose your appropriate level. Level 3 is the most challenging, including greater depth aspects. Level 2 is an in the middle level. It's got some little bits that are stretching you, and then some things that you need to definitely do to get expected. And then level 1 is pushing you to expected. So if you are finding writing quite hard, level 1 might be the one that you go for. Level 2 is the one where you should be in year 6, and level 3 is the one that's pushing you just a little bit beyond to that greater depth level. So have that in front of you so you know, as a little tick list, what you need to be doing to make sure that your writing meets the goal of the non-chronological report. So again, I've just modelled a small bit of the writing for you. You don't have to do quite as much of this if you don't have all these facts, but you should be doing a good paragraph for this, perhaps followed by some bullet points which include key facts. So I've done 2 subheadings here. One that's an overarching one that says what happens during the celebrations. So I'm going to focus first on the Spirit of the Children Day because that's the first day that occurs. So I'm doing it in a bit more of a chronological order in time. So I've got starting at midnight on the 1st of November, Dia de los Angelitos, which is known as Day of the Little Angels, is where all the spirits of the deceased children are reunited with their families and they invite them back to the world of the living. That's quite a long first sentence with a couple of clauses in, so I'm showing my reader I can do multi-clause sentences. So starting at midnight on the 1st of November, I've begun with a verb, an ing verb, so that one worked really well there. And then the next bit that's highlighted in blue is another relative clause, and this time, yesterday I didn't use brackets, but today I have, so I'm varying my punctuation. I give detail about what the Spirit of the Children is in the first sentence. I've also got the conjunction and in there. The second sentence then goes on. The offerings they decorate the children's altars with include photos of them, favourite toys and snacks, hoping to encourage a visit from their children. So there I'm explaining what the offerings are that they put out for them, so giving some detail, and in there I've got a colon and a comma list. So that is showing that I can list items carefully. Then at my final sentence starts with the conjunction whilst. So, whilst this may seem a rather sombre occasion, it is in fact joyful and meant to celebrate their life rather than mourn their death. So I'm explaining to my reader who has not been to the festival that whilst it sounds really, really sad that these children have passed away, it's actually viewed as a more pleasant experience than what we would think. And in there I've got a conjunction whilst, I have got my comma after occasion to separate my 2 clauses, and I've highlighted the word sombre because sombre is a better word than sad. So I've just thought really carefully about my language choices and I have written that instead. written the second paragraph that I will be doing on this bit, which is the spirit of the adults. Now, this one is not quite finished. I've just done a small bit just to get you started and to get you thinking about how you could structure your sentences. So again, I will read it and we will discuss each of the parts that are highlighted. So, spirit of the adults. Again, I have started with a subheading for cohesion for my reader, so they can go straight to that part if that's the only bit they want to know about. On the following day at midnight, the celebrations carry on to honour the deceased adult. I've used the word deceased again just because I think it sounds much better than dead. On the following day at midnight, that starting there is another odd-fronted adverbial, and it tells you when something is happening. It's another way to be cohesive and to guide your reader through the journey of your writing. So that just explains in that first sentence what the festival is. The next sentence starts, the offerings, which are completely different to the night before, include drinking tequila, a strong Mexican liquor, eating pan de muerto, a traditional bread, playing games with family and friends, and dancing to bands in an act of jubilation. So that's all one sentence. It's quite long, but it's got a lot of clauses in it. So I've got the offerings, which are completely different to the night before. Once again, I have used a relative clause there because it begins with which and it gives extra information about the offerings. I haven't done brackets, I've done commas again there. Then, after that, I have include and then a colon because I'm about to start a list. But this list, you will notice, is different to the last one because it uses semicolons, and that's what we can do when we add more detail to a list. So I've got drinking tequila, dash, a strong Mexican liquor. So the dash there tells my reader that they're going to give me extra information about what tequila is. I have a semicolon then because that's all the items from one list separated by the semicolon. Then eating pan de muerto, and in brackets, a traditional bread, semicolon. The part in brackets gives my reader more information about what pan de muerto is. Then playing games with family and friends in brackets, so that explains who they're playing games with. And then the final bit, I have a semicolon, then and dancing to bands in an act of jubilation. And jubilation just means joy and celebration. Again, just choosing my language very carefully and thinking about how best I can write it. It's now over to you to get started. You need at least 2 paragraphs written today. Again, thinking very, very carefully about how you start those sentences and making sure you've got some variety of punctuation. Please ensure that you use the success criteria and have chosen the correct level for your writing to do that today. Don't forget, you should be adding to your glossary all the time in your writing. This could be a separate page that you put together so that you have it ready for when you do your write-up at the end of the week of this whole non-chronological report. So any words that you want to include in the glossary, just pop to the side because that will help your reader when you come to finish your piece of work. Once again, just like yesterday, before submitting your work, please use cups. We did it yesterday, so I don't think I need to go through it again. But looking at that, capital letters, understanding, punctuation and spelling, checking all of those things before you are uploading it for feedback, please.